Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the true size of a Tyranid Invasion Part 1 3D documentary by Invicta. Yes guys, this has gotten a ton of recommendations since we checked out the last Invicta series, I guess, which was a true size of a Space Marine chapter. Go check that out if you haven't. That was awesome to see. The visuals in this series are awesome. Invicta does a great job at that. The narration is fantastic, and he did an amazing job of kind of laying out every company, what was involved, the scale of it. For the Tyranids, I'm assuming this is going to be much harder to do. It's going to more look like a swarm, a mass. I don't know if there's going to be any, like, how you say, like, number organization to it, because how do you even start to count with the Tyranid high fleet, especially with how they can reproduce units and melt themselves down and shit like that. I feel like it would be so impossible to get a true and accurate count of a Tyranid invasion force, but man, I imagine the visuals on this are going to be insane. I imagine he's gonna, you know, try to be as true to lore and scale as possible, given, you know, what we know about them, obviously. So I'm really excited to see how this is gonna look. This got a ton of recommendations, as I said, so I know you guys are wanting to see it. I'm wanting to check it out. So man, Invicta does a great job. I gotta leave a like right away. Obviously, we're already subscribed, and yeah, if you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to, of course, all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, of course, Dagenhart and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And with that, guys, man, true size of a Tyranid invasion force, man. This one's gonna be fucking scary to see. I think this is gonna be like, this is gonna be a confirmation of everything I think I know about the Tyranids and just how fucking brutal they are, bro. I'm excited for it. This is part 1. I think there's 2 parts. Looks like 2 parts. I guess we'll see. Yeah, if you guys want to see part 2 after this, make sure you tell me in the comments. Anyways, without any further delay, captions are on, quality is good. We are full screened. Without any further delay, let's get it.
The Tyranids, the great devourers, are among the greatest threats to humanity and to the entire galaxy.
And look at those tendrils. Oh wow.
This reputation is more than well earned by the ultimate adaptive race, whose sole purpose exists to consume all in its path.
Bro, that'd be so fucked up.
But unlike their rivals, this capacity comes not from any cultural, economic, or technological advantage.
Nope.
Rather, it is derived purely from their unparalleled evolutionary fluidity, which
the hive is hungry, boys.
A stunning diversity and quantity of bioforms with which to overcome any foe. These range from the smallest of microbial spores to the largest of multi-kilometer spacefaring hive ships.
See, that's like truly the terrifying thing about the Tyranids, straight up. Like if you look at like just the average like Tyranid, you know, like everything about him, like it's all living. Their weaponry is living, their ships are living, everything is a living organism that serves this hive. You know what I'm saying? Their bullets, quote unquote, are basically just burrowing maggots. You know, it's so fucking crazy, but it's also realistic in a sense. You know, I really fuck with that. It's interesting to see like how a species could evolve without the use of like technology in the traditional sense, you know, versus they just evolve to counter anything that they could possibly, you know, come to face in the galaxy, technology, whatever have you. Like you see them not have a technological edge, quote unquote, but they can just adapt so quickly that it doesn't matter. Any technological edge is nullified because of their vast quantity of numbers and adaptability. They can just, you know, add on armor plates to themselves to stop weapons, you know, shit like that. It's kind of crazy to see.
Ships. In this series, we shall cover the diverse specimens which have been catalogued by the Magos Biologus, including the Vanguard, Assault, Command, and Support organisms.
Okay.
We will then bring their full might to bear in never-before-seen simulations of a planetary invasion featuring millions of models in detailed 3D environments.
Wow.
This is the true size of a Tyranid invasion.
So this might be a lot more in-depth than the last one, perhaps. At least part 2 might be.
So I hope you guys are enjoying this content as much as I have been. It turns out the True Size series and 40k is just a match made in heaven. It's got an art production team.
Definitely.
Super excited. They're already working on some future episodes. So we have 40k on the mind, and I've got 40k in the pocket because I've been playing a lot of Warhammer 40k Tacticus, which is today's sponsor. Now I've actually been playing this game for quite a while. I really enjoy it, and I actually reached out to them.
Very awesome. He's got the Tacticus
Studios is actually a fan
sponsorship.
Of ours,
that's
viewers,
awesome.
And so it was a really nice collaboration, and they're willing to support us. Now, as for the game itself, it stands out for 2 major reasons. 1, it's fun. 2, it's fair. So let's get into these. For fun, it's because this is a really open, crunchy, tactical battle. The way it plays out is you essentially have a hex-based battlefield where you deploy your troops against a range of enemy forces. The battlefield is very dynamic. Line of sight matters, character movement matters, range of weapons matters, the type of terrain matters. It's all really important, and it makes for really great replayability. In addition, they have really good level design. So for instance, one of my favorite
Quite a bit of
ones
strategy involved, it looks like.
Chaos charging at Imperials, where the enemy has 2 major abilities: call on artillery, call on reinforcements. And it makes for a gameplay where you're basically under the gun, charging, trying to clear out the Imperials before you get swamped by shells and men. So I think that's really fun. Zooming out, the way this plays out is basically you start off with a small cadre of characters playing in one campaign. You slowly unlock different characters from different factions, which then allows you to play in different campaigns, and then you play those, and you slowly expand to get a bigger and bigger roster of characters.
Oh, so there's a lot to do there. Wow.
So that, I found out, played in a really fun gameplay loop that expanded and kept itself fresh. Now, as to the second point why I like...
Gotta say, it's great to see like a mobile game where there's always like kind of stuff to do, always more to do, you know? It's not just like the same like kind of like few levels over and over again. It looks like there's a lot of variation in this. So this looks great to see.
Gameplay loop that expanded and kept itself fresh. Now, as to the second point why I like Tacticus is because it's fair. I felt that the pacing of all this was really natural, and it wasn't asking me to pay to unlock these different tiers. I could progress at a rate that I felt was achievable without having to put any money down. In addition to that, it felt like most mobile games have you on a timer where you run out of energy before you can play your fill. That is not the case in this game.
That's also very true.
You can pivot to one of your other campaigns, or you can go into the plethora of other battles that they have available to you. You have guild battles, for instance.
Oh, okay.
You have these scavenger battles. You have these wave-based onslaught battles. You have these weeklies and monthly special events. So there's always something to do. For instance, the Tyranids are a major faction which recently got added. You can now unleash Death Leapers, Tyrant Guards, and Crimes on the battlefield, with many more characters and factions on the way. I highly recommend this game from personal enjoyment, so check it out and support the channel by scanning the QR code above or clicking the link in the description. Be sure to use the code INVICTAGIFT for some awesome goodies from now until March 29th. Enjoy.
Well, I'm assuming the sponsorship's probably run out, but fuck it. Go give code Invicta a try there. Invicta gift. Maybe it still works if you plan on playing Tacticus. I don't know if it still works. You might have a valid code still, so go check that out.
For some awesome goodies from now until March 29th. Enjoy.
Before we begin, it should be noted that
Tyranid
swarms defy any externally imposed system of organization. The only being capable of understanding this chimeran behemoth is the hive mind itself, an entity of equally unfathomable complexity, derived from the shared consciousness of trillions upon trillions of Tyranids spread out across the galaxy and beyond.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you start talking about, I just want to see this picture exactly. I'll go back 5 seconds in a bit here, but when you see this picture, you just think about how many trillions, as he says, of entities are in the Tyranid hive mind. Like they're by far the biggest and baddest threat in all of Warhammer in my mind, by far, potentially bigger than the Necrons, potentially bigger than all of it, just because of the fact that this hive mind, for it to even exist, for it to be able to control the amount of entities it does at any given time, that's fucking insane. That screams power, right? And it screams adaptability. So like, you know, when you're talking how many billions and billions of worlds there are potentially in a galaxy, how many billions of stars, and the fact that the Tyranids can grow in number every single star that they visit, they can just consume fucking planets and keep on moving. They're unstoppable. They're literally unstoppable. The Necrons probably will get overcome eventually too. It all depends, right? The Necrons can also hide, right? So they can probably fucking wait it out, ideally, right? But it's hard to say, you know. It's very, very hard to say. They can definitely probably wait it out, but if they were to like actually try to fight a Tyranid invasion, if all the other races started to fall and the Tyranids came hard, you know, like we're talking like an N-level galaxy threat. I don't know, man. It'd be a tough go.
Yet that is not to say that a study of the Tyranids lays beyond our grasp. After all, in the year of 741 of the 41st millennium,
they put up a fight.
This report, for instance, outlines some of the broad evolutionary branches of the swarm, which were identified early on by Imperial forces. While its observations still broadly hold true, the Tyranids have not ceased to evolve.
I just want to see that. I just want to pause on this this chart here real quick. This is really, really cool, actually. You can see like all the Von Ryan leper. Yeah, you can see like all the different how you'd say like subspecies and how they come to be, where they meld in with the greater Tyranid hive. At least this is according to what the you know, the Imperium knows, right? The Imperialis, what is this? The Imperialis Legendum. Okay, yeah. So this is the best that they can kind of describe, right? Interesting too, looking at the alien DNA. You obviously have Gene Stealers, Biovore, Orc question mark, Zonothrope, Eldar question mark, Tyrant Guard, Astartes, Fused Ribs, Black Carapace. Interesting. So you can kind of see where, like, you know, that Xenos DNA is making its mark upon the Tyranid hive. As a whole, they're taking like aspects of these different races and saying, holy shit, evolutionary, that's a good thing to keep. Let's keep that, you know what I'm saying? And let's put our own, obviously, Tyranid twist on it. Very, very cool to see. Spore mines down there, obviously, are cancer. Those apparently might come from orcs, which kind of would make sense. Wow. This is a really cool chart to see, I'm not gonna lie.
Still broadly hold true. The Tyranids have not ceased to evolve, especially as each hive fleet plunges ever deeper into the galaxy, adapting independently as they go.
Right.
As such, ever-increasing numbers of researchers and scribes have been required to document the nature of this growing threat to the Imperium. But we shall leave such exhaustive explanations to the likes of Vutin.
Oh, Luton's coming in here?
With this disclaimer in mind, let us now reconstruct a more digestible model.
Oh no, letting Luton explain it. I understand. We definitely should go and, well, I think we already checked out some Luton videos on the Tyranids, but, you know, I'm always willing for more. If anyone's got some good Luton Tyranid suggestions that we haven't checked out yet, fucking yeah, hit me up with them, you know? We haven't checked out Luton in a little bit. We got to do that for sure.
A more digestible model of a simpler, theoretical Tyranid army. As a preview of where we are headed, this is what a swarm looks like. Millions of creatures spanning dozens of species and their countless variants, bearing down upon outnumbered and outgunned defenders.
Fuck.
But to get there, we will first have to familiarize ourselves with the Tyranid.
Like it's unstoppable. They don't care about losses,
as they might be encountered during the major phases of an invasion. The first,
and you like, you know, like that's the thing. You can say like the Necrons don't really care about losses either, because they kind of don't, because you know they can just reform themselves. But I don't know, with the Tyranids, it's just fucked, because even the bodies, like the whole planet, is gonna get biomassed eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, so death is not death to them, because they just reform. Like they throw their dead into pits and they just come back. They renew, right? Like it's, I don't even know. Like it's a different level of not caring about death. You know, it's. There's no individuality amongst them, and there isn't with the Necrons either. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you guys think the Necrons could actually put up a decent fight like against them? I think they could hold them off, but I don't think they would win. I think sustainability wise, I don't think they could do it, because I think eventually the Tyranids, you know, they would just keep consuming at a rate the Necrons wouldn't be able to expand quick enough, kind of thing, and it would force the Necrons to kind of just, you know, go back into sleep for a while, you know, blink off a couple million years, you know, something like that, you know. I just don't see them winning eventually in a straight up fight, you know, especially if like during their awakening process, you know, kind of thing. It's like, I don't know.
Major phases of an invasion. The first phase will be one of reconnaissance. Here, potential victim worlds will be targeted by Vanguard troops, which may be inserted via drone ship or smuggled in aboard enemy vessels, who may unwittingly act as carriers in the process of fleeing other infected zones.
I see.
But regardless of how they got there, all such Vanguard bioforms will share evolutionary traits that favor stealth and independence.
Makes sense,
Common
yeah.
species include lictors, leapers,
Right.
and gene stealers.
Yep.
Lictors are lone hunters who seem to deploy on planets one at a time. While some may doubt the threat posed by a single organism, they are not to be underestimated. Standing 2 to 3 meters tall with long mantis-like claws, lictors have the speed, strength, and dexterity to outmaneuver prey or pursuer across almost any terrain. In spite of their size, they manage to pass virtually undetected thanks to a range of adaptations, including noise-reducing hoofs, body heat dampeners, and chameleonic scales, which can shift tone and texture to blend in with any environment.
Man, these things are fucking scary.
Lictors may leverage bladders of super nutritious fluid to remain immobile for days on end,
Wow.
awaiting the perfect opportunity to strike or
They're like
relocate.
they're like the perfect assassination tool, straight up.
In this way, will they begin to reconnoiter a victim planet, collecting information about its resources, flora, and fauna, until
Right.
such data may be relayed back to the Hive fleet. But perhaps most troubling of all is the indication that lictors are capable of absorbing the memories of their victims, and may even inherit the experiences of all other slain members of its species.
Wow.
If true, such a creature would represent a military asset of incredible strategic value, which must be rooted out at all costs.
Like, they're intelligent. They're almost... That's kind of interesting, because a lictor is kind of like almost not independent from the hive, but very self-acting, you know what I mean? Like, almost to the point where it is. It isn't, but it kind of is. Like, the way it will act, the way it will kind of favor its own survivability. Because you see with other, like, Tyranid forces, they don't give a shit if they survive or not, you know what I mean? They're just going to charge into whatever they can, whatever force there is. They'll ram themselves into gun barrels. They don't give a shit, right? But the lictor will actually favor its own, like, survivability over, you know, potentially killing something, or, you know, going out of its way to kill something. Any other Tyranid, I feel like, wouldn't do that. Like, obviously all these forces here on our screen, like the Lictor, the Leaper, and the Gene Stealer, they're all like the infiltration forces of the Tyranid fleet, right? Reconnaissance forces. But you see Gene Stealers start to pop off. You see lepers start to be more apparent. You know, shit's going south for you. You know, a Tyranid fleet is near at that point. Goddamn.
Value, which must be rooted out at all costs. A related vanguard organism is the Tyranid Leaper. These are often pack hunters who might deploy to a planet in the dozens or hundreds at a time. Leapers trade some of the hyper-specialized traits of the Lictor for more aggressive combat capabilities.
Right.
As such, while reconnaissance is still one of their primary functions, they tend to focus on crippling the eyes, ears, and vital organs of an enemy force.
That makes sense.
And
Targeting,
finally,
like, infrastructure
we have
and
the Gene
shit.
Stealer. Such creatures are smaller and weaker than their vanguard brethren. Yet they should not be underestimated. After all, Gene Stealers are still larger, stronger, and far more long-lived than your average human.
Yeah.
But what makes them most frightening is their evolutionary niche as infiltrators. This process begins with the spawning of a pure strain Gene Stealer within the Hive fleet. Upon reaching a target population, victims will be abducted and implanted with an embryonic organism, which begins to both alter the genes of its host and bind its will to the Tyranids.
Fuck.
In this way, a hybridized Gene Stealer is created, and a small brood can develop in the shadows.
That's so fucked.
Over time, future generations of hybrids will become ever more numerous and indistinguishable from their host population. Underground Gene Stealer cults may now begin to creep their way up the social structure.
And it's fucked how they do it too, because it's literally just another organ, like, that they implant into your brain, and it just makes you subservient, you know? It's so fucked up, because it's literally just another organ that genetically is implanted over the course of, like, a generation or two. You know what I mean? And it just kind of works, and it's not really noticeable amongst a human population. That's scary shit, man. Just how easily they can get in there and fuck things up. It's scary.
Stealer cults may now begin
Like, it really doesn't take much.
The social structure, further infiltrating society at large.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Should this process prove successful, the gene stealers will psychically summon their hive fleet. With the dinner bell rung, they will then bide their time, ready to burst forth behind enemy lines at the opportune moment.
Yeah.
In combination, these various vanguard forces can wreak havoc on a target's defenses. Active measures will be necessary to detect and keep these Tyranids in check. Though the task will be great, it is achievable by efficient counter-infiltration operations. What proves far more daunting, however, is dealing with the assault forces which come next.
Of course, yeah. But at the point where, especially like infiltrators have been let loose on a planet, at the point a Tyranid fleet is coming to take advantage of the fact that it has a reconnaissance force on that planet, you're probably already fucked. Like, there's probably already way too many gene stealers for you to make a difference. Like, all you can do is hold off and evacuate, and if you evacuate, guess what? There's probably another fucking Lictor on board that ship, and another fucking Patriarch on board that ship that's gonna be going to the next planet you go to. Like, yeah, it's terrifying shit, because even evacuation at this point, when there's gene stealers apparent on the planet, evacuation's like, shit, do we do it? Because, like, you don't know, like, if one of these fucking things gets loose, right? If one of these human hybrids gets loose and is allowed to escape and evacuate the planet, you're like, you know, you're looking at another infestation immediately. It's a problem so fucking... I don't know, man. The Tyranids honestly are kind of my favorite. I don't know. I might like them the most just because of just like how fucking cool they are. I don't know. I like the Imperium too, don't get me wrong, but I feel like species wise, like I feel like they might be my favorite just because, like, again, like it's just like the horror of them, you know? And I know, like, they're not even like the, you know, you obviously have the Chaos and the Dark Elder and shit, but it's just like, I don't know, man. The Tyranids to me, that's just like another type of horror, just the shit that they can do, you know? And like, just how like thought-provoking this hive fleet is, you know, like its ability to adapt, but its ability to think too. It's not just like it does shit for no reason. I think its sentience is what freaks me out a lot too. The fact that it's like, it's actually smart with its decisions. I don't know. That's not to say obviously the Imperium aren't my goats, because, you know, like obviously the units in the Imperium are fucking my favorite by far. You know, you got the Titans and the fucking Knights and shit, bro. Oh my god, Dreadnoughts. Oh, you know, nothing's gonna beat those ever. But race wise, I don't know. Tyranids are fucking sick.
Forces which come next. The first sign of an incoming invasion will be the so-called Shadow in the Warp, a vast psychic emanation of the hive mind which smothers entire star systems, disrupting all forms of warp travel and communication. Those who fall under its shadow will be cut off, unable to call for help or to flee.
This is a really good representation of that.
Fleet, now having isolated its prey, will begin the assault phase of its invasion. The nature of horrors which will soon begin raining down upon the defenders varies greatly. The hive mind, after all, will be acting upon the information gathered from its vanguard forces and can dynamically biomanufacture the exact army it believes will most effectively achieve the task at hand.
Isn't that so fucked?
It would be a fool's errand to attempt to catalogue the endless evolutionary permutations of this bestiary.
Like, it's just so nasty to me that they straight up can just like, okay, they have the reconnaissance force on the planet. Okay, this fleet, as it's moving towards the planet, is going to biologically fucking evolve its units, its invasion force, to suit the needs of that assault on that planet. Like, that is so fucking strong as an ability, as a thing to be able to do. Just recreate your army on the fucking fly, quite literally, on your way to, like, capture the next planet for what you need, given the situation. That is such a fucking powerful ability. Like, I don't think anything can top that, you know what I mean? Because every other race, every other conventional race, right, they're acting with what they have. They might be able to deploy forces from farther away kind of thing to react, but they're dealing with, you know, the forces that they have. You know, you can't just fucking spawn a tank out of nowhere if you don't have a tank, for example, right? These things quite literally just fucking can do that. Like, straight up, oh, we need that? Okay, You know what I mean? Let's make another one. Why not? You know, they can just do that out of their biomass. It's fucking crazy.
To catalog the endless evolutionary permutations.
It would be like spawning space marines out of thin air, just
to be
cause.
satisfied with a broad overview of the more common Tyranid bioforms. The first major category of assault phase Tyranids will be the spores.
Jesus.
These range in size and function. On one end of the spectrum are the microscopic spores. These may be unleashed in their trillions upon a planet, drifting down as great clouds upon the land. Here, they may begin slowly altering the planet's biosphere, rendering it more hostile to the natives and welcoming to the invaders. Such swarms may also target machinery, munitions, and supplies to gradually erode a target's
This is the
system.
second they arrive. Just that shit's
For more
getting
direct
released.
damage, larger spore mines will be spawned. These are bulbous, gas-filled creatures who float across the battlefield.
Those things are fucking cancer. If you guys have watched my Space Marine 2 streams, these things are actually just fucking hot cancer. I hate these things so much. I don't think I've died to more, like, to anything more than these things, straight up.
These are bulbous, gas-filled creatures who float across the battlefield. When their feelers sense targets in close proximity, they will detonate their payload. This may include poison, bioacid, or shrapnel variants.
Oh, there's variants. Wow, I didn't know that.
Infantry
That makes sense, though.
Units, unfortunate enough to be caught in their blast. A related variant is the mucilid spore. These are capable of maintaining higher altitudes and moving at greater speeds, which enables them to act as surprisingly effective anti-air mines.
Wow.
While such
They're like
spores
weather
may
balloons
not be
almost.
on their own, vast minefields capable of guided propulsion and rudimentary intelligence can be quite deadly at the tactical level, and will certainly complicate the battlefield situation at a strategic level. On the larger end of the spore spectrum exist the all-important ship-to-surface organisms. Several variants of these 10 to 30 meter living drop pods exist, including mycetic spores, tyrannocytes, and sporocysts.
Wow.
All share rather similar morphologies that feature huge chitinous shells, which help withstand the stresses of entry, as well as organic flaps, which deploys air brakes to slow the pod down just enough for a controlled crash landing. At this point, the bioforms within, be it a few dozen human-sized creatures or a singular multi-story beast, will spill forth onto the battlefield. With this step accomplished, mycetic spores will end their life cycle. However, the more biologically complex tyrannocytes and sporocysts have yet another purpose to serve. The former now begins filling with gas and will soon be airborne once more, raining death upon nearby enemies with ranged biocannonry.
Wow.
Sporocysts, on the other hand, will burrow further into the ground, where they can then use their numerous organic chimneys to begin pumping out endless waves of smaller spore forms.
Literally. So, see, that's the thing. It's like even their drop pods, the second their drop pod lands, guess what? Now that's just a fucking mobile attack point or just a factory, quite literally, for more enemies. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't end with them. Like, they can just keep fucking doing shit, repurposing themselves on the fly like that. It's such a fucking threat. Like, you can't really fight that. You know what I mean? You can, right? But it's such a fucking existential threat. Like, I don't think anything on their own could face the Tyranids in force, like, straight up. I think everything would probably get slaughtered, even the orcs, right? Like, the orcs would be actually just free real estate for the Tyranids. I think they would hard counter them extremely well. And you might think, well, it's a horde on horde army, but like, I feel like, you know, the Tyranids, with how quickly the orcs reproduce, I feel like the Tyranids would still win and have so much fucking biomass at the end of it that it would just be unstoppable. I don't know. That's maybe just a hot take, but guess we'll have to see maybe eventually. Who knows?
Having thus covered the major types of spores, we can move on to another branch of the Tyranid assault species, the Gaunts genus. Standing roughly 1.3 meters tall,
These motherfuckers can
2.5
fly,
meters
damn.
long, Gaunts are the basic combat unit of the Tyranid swarm. They are cheap and expendable, but with enough numbers and flexibility to overcome most defenses. Many variants exist, but we will once more have to restrict ourselves to just a few, namely the Hormagaunts, Termagants, and Gargoyles. Hormagaunts are the close combat specialists. Wielding massive, scythed talons, they run at incredible speeds with the agility to bound over obstacles and turn on a dime in pursuit of their prey. This is done with relentless, frenzied determination as their evolutionary metabolism drives them to kill, feast, and kill without pause.
Right.
Pain will not stop them,
Literally just kill.
nor will
They don't
most
care.
Small arms fire, as heavy carapace and multi-organ redundancy keeps them moving whilst sustaining all but the most crippling of damage.
That's the thing too, and every single organism in the Tyranid fleet too is built this way, right? Where it's like, it can live to take damage, you know what I mean? Like, you can blow their arms off, blow their legs off, and it'll probably still keep crawling at you until you put a fucking headshot into it. Like, they're straight up built to live and kill, you know? And they're the only, I guess, like, organism straight up, I guess, that's like, that can design itself on the fly to do that or to do other things depending on what it needs, right? But in this case, right, like with the Lictor, you saw, like, you know, it's not going to be frenzied killing everything it fucking sees. It's meant to stay in stealth, to reconnoiter an area, you know what I mean? It's meant to blend in. It's got chameleon skin. These things just fucking run at you and don't care. They're frenzied. Like, you can evolve your fucking species on the fly to do different things. It's so OP, I think.
Yet there is a cost for such energetic traits. Hormagaunts burn out extremely quickly, with lifespans measured in the days or even hours.
Wow.
This is compensated for by an ability to hibernate during periods of inactivity, as well as the unique ability to lay eggs and reproduce outside the confines of the hive fleet or a spawning pool.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know
so
that.
So long as food is available, a Hormagaunt infestation will multiply exponentially.
Interesting.
Thus, a small pack aboard a single drop pod, which manages to break through to the surface of a planet, can quickly swell into a group in the hundreds or a horde in the thousands if left unchecked. Such numbers would tax the command and control systems of most armies. However, Tyranid evolution has accounted for this, and Hormagaunts will instinctively attack the nearest target in swarms with little direction necessary from the hive mind.
I see.
This makes them highly effective fire and forget weapons. On the flip side though, this is also their greatest weakness, as brute force melee tactics can result in high casualties against well-prepared positions. It is for this reason that other Gaunt variants exist. The Termagant, for instance, uses the base Hormagaunt morphology, but replaces its talons with ranged weapons. Yet this is not as simple a swap as for most armies, given that such biomechanical guns are actually symbiotic creatures, which have effectively fused with their hosts during the spawning process. Many terrifying types exist. The Spine Fist is a close-range, twin-linked gun which fires poisonous spines via pressurized air. The Strangle Web is a slightly longer ranged spread-fire weapon which sprays sticky, mucus-like strands to ensnare and constrict its targets. The Flesh Borer, meanwhile, is a mid-range gun that launches living beetles at its target. Upon impact, these will use rending teeth and digestive enzymes to dig through armor.
Want to get eaten alive? Like, bruh.
The Devourer is also a mid-range weapon with a living payload, but one which unleashes salvos of fleshworms at a time. These will either shatter in an acid splash upon impact or survive to burrow into the victim's exposed weak points. And finally, spike rifles are longer-range, precision weapons which fire razor-sharp, barbed spikes that kill with impact damage, or the fast-acting toxin which infects open wounds. Each of these biomechanical guns on their own is terrifying enough, but when fired...
Thing is, too, is each of their weapons has like a contingency on them, right? It's not like it'll just like, it fires a spike that kills you. It's like, no, it fires a spike covered in like a toxin, you know what I'm saying? Or it fires a bullet. Oh, if the bullet misses you, it's still a living organism. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy shit like that. I don't know. It's just, there's always a contingency upon their guns, upon their bullets, upon their blades even. There's always something else, you know? It's just crazy.
Each of these biomechanical guns on their own is terrifying enough, but when fired en masse from swarms of termagants, the resulting carnage is unlike any seen from conventional weaponry. And yet, there is one more dimension we are missing. Gaunt variants also exist which have taken to the air. These so-called gargoyles are effectively termagants with wings, albeit with slightly smaller bodies and atrophied lower legs to improve their flight characteristics. Individually, such beasts are said to be more skittish than their peers, preferring to skirmish. However, when they assemble in vast clouds to strike a target from all directions, the behavior of the group as a whole is anything but relentless. Yet more gaunt variants and specialist bioforms exist to fill the evolving needs of a Tyranid army on the assault. For now, however, we will move on to other species which serve as important pillars to the greater operation of the invasion force.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's so many variants, you couldn't possibly name them all, to be fair.
One such specimen is the Ripper. These half-meter-long, maggot-like creatures have evolved with a singular purpose: to consume biological material. Following close behind assault troops, they scour the battlefield to devour fallen friend and foe alike. Over the course of an invasion, great swarms will pick clean the land, ingesting all the biological material in their path before throwing their bloated bodies into reclamation pools for easy digestion and reabsorption by the hive fleet. But the coordinated activities of all such assault forces would not be possible without the warrior class. Standing about 5 meters tall, these hulking bioforms are protected by thick carapaces and boast powerful limbs capable of wielding both melee and ranged weapons.
These things are fucking scary.
The former includes scything talons,
tall as fuck,
swords, and lash whips, while the latter includes equivalent or heavier variants of the gaunt weapons we previously mentioned.
Right.
All of this makes such creatures formidable battlefield soldiers. Yet what makes them truly invaluable assets in the swarm ecosystem is their role as Tyranid officers. To some extent, they function similarly to traditional leaders, assessing battlefield situations and directing surrounding forces. But where they differ is in their ability to communicate with their kin, not through language, but by a synaptic form of telepathy through which they relay and channel the will of the hive mind.
So basically instantaneous communication,
lesser creatures
unhindered.
brought into unison. Should this link be severed, however, they will revert back to their base biological pre-programming until a synaptic connection is re-established.
That makes sense.
To preserve this all-important hub of command and control, multiple Tyranid warriors can often be found in clusters across a battlefield, surrounded by gaunts with an instinctive drive to defend them at all costs. For additional redundancy, other bioforms are also capable of stepping in as synaptic amplifiers. One notable example is the zoanthrope. Evidence points to this species having been developed as a hybridized form of the warrior species mixed with Eldar DNA.
That's so fucked.
This has granted them impressive psychic abilities with which to not only convey the will of the hive mind, but to unleash powerful defensive and offensive capabilities. Having thus reviewed the basic combat forms of a Tyranid swarm, let us now explore what a first wave assault may look like.
Okay.
The situation is as follows. Several months ago, infiltration bioforms were seeded onto a fringe Imperial world.
Okay.
These have
I like how we're getting the scene here
unnoticed by
now.
the understaffed and inexperienced garrison forces.
Of
As
course.
this hidden threat festers, the vanguard of the Hive fleet has reached the planetary system. Some resistance is given, but the unprepared orbital defenses are quickly swept aside. The invaders now reach the atmosphere. Armed with intel from their vanguard forces, they now set about targeting the most vulnerable ground positions. One of the many initial objectives is this outpost of the Imperium.
Oh, this is a cool setup. I have to say, like, real quickly here, this is a really cool, like, sector, the way they're doing it. You have, like, different sectors. You got, like, obviously different, like, units on the board that you can kind of move around. I can see, like, the Titans, you know, you got some Warhounds there, it looks like. You got, like, infantry divisions. You got your artillery divisions, some air divisions, tanks. This is done in a really, really cool way. I'm liking this. You obviously have different, like, outpost forts, the city itself, right? Point of interest, I'm guessing, you know, like crossroads, stuff like that. It looks like here, major roads. Very, very much liking the way this is done. This is very, very cool. I'm liking that. Man, I'm interested to see how these Titan divisions are going to fare. You know, obviously, you know, I'm a little bit biased for those, but man, I don't know. I don't think it'll be enough in this case.
One of the many initial objectives.
I see two groups of Warhounds opposite each other.
It stands just a few dozen kilometers out from the local garrison fortress, housing important sensor and communication networks. It serves as a valuable node in the region's defensive network. This infrastructure is defended by bunkers and entrenchments which bristle with men, vehicles, and turrets. Around them begins to fall the first rains of what will soon be a deluge of Tyranid invaders.
How quickly do you think it'll be till they fall?
Clouds of anti-aircraft mucilid spores drift into position.
I give it an hour at most.
Pads, while anti-vehicle and anti-personnel
This does not look defendable.
mines begin to choke off the lines of retreat and reinforcement.
30 minutes.
As the defenders rush to man the
20
guns,
minutes.
they find many of their systems sluggish or impaired on account of some undiagnosed growth taking hold of the equipment.
Oh.
To make matters worse, chaos breaks out to the rear. Gene
Stealers,
aided by other vanguard forces, have apparently managed to ambush one of the supply columns, crippling this critical source of reinforcements, fuel, and munitions.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Xenos dropships have begun to land in the plains ahead, though some fall to bursts of anti-aircraft
Targeting critical
fire.
infrastructure at a
There's
vital
barely
time
a
like
dent
that.
in their numbers. Soon,
Holy shit.
thousands of combat forms begin to spill forth. The raptor-like hordes of Hormagaunts sprint ahead of the pack, instinctually blitzing the nearest source of incoming fire. The ground pounds with the beat of their killer determination. Behind them, the Tyranid warriors now pulse orders
Like you literally
across
don't have
the
enough
selected
ammo.
network, marshalling the hordes of termagants and gargoyles who have been amassing. Soon, these two plunge across the open ground, taking flanking routes towards the defenders. Behind them surge writhing packs of rippers, eagerly anticipating their first meal. From the perspective of the defenders, the landscape appears to shimmer from the seemingly
Like they're
endless
fucked.
smoke.
Like there's no way. There's
The
literally no
outpost
way.
fires on all fronts at this target-rich environment, but to no avail.
Like you wouldn't notice a dent.
It is as though they fire bullets at an incoming wave, each shot merely disappearing into the surging mass. There is no stopping this living tide.
Literally.
Across the region, the other outposts face similar Oblivion. Vox channels crackle with the panicked shouts
All at the
of
same
officers
time.
and the terrified screams of guardsmen.
And that's how it would be too, right? Like it's such overwhelming force instantly in a state of mass confusion. I imagine the only way you'd ever actually be able to like fight off an invasion, like you would really have to fall back to the Hive City immediately to stop any ambushes from Gene Stealers, any like fault in your supply line, and also to provide like the maximum amount of firepower at the same time in the same place. I feel like you know, you're trying to go one-on-one with the Tyranids, it's not gonna fucking work. You know what I mean? You won't be able to hold these little outposts because they have such cripplingly high numbers that it's just like you're not gonna make a dent in it, and you're just gonna further feed their army once you die. So you really have to, like, I think I could be wrong, fall back, provide a mass defensive line, like with all your troops at the same place at the same time. And you kind of have to go from there. Maximum amount of firepower to try to counter their maximum amount of numbers at the same time, at the same place. Like, you know, individually fighting, it's going to get you fucking nowhere. You're just going to get overrun completely at every opportunity, you know? That's my hot take on it. Maybe I'm wrong.
The few who make it out alive beat a hasty retreat back to the garrison forces.
Wow.
Here they will make their stand with the backing of far more formidable defenses. But the hive mind has yet to reveal its full hand. In our next episode, we will examine the larger bioforms, which will be deployed against such a hardened position as we continue to cover the true size of a Tyranid invasion.
Wow.
For now, you can head on over to our Patreon and YouTube membership to get HD downloads of all our art,
that was awesome,
script previews, and participate in polls. A big thanks to the current members for supporting the channel, and to the researchers, writers, and artists for making this episode possible. We couldn't have done it without this team and this community. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and check out these other related videos. See you in the next one.
Wow, guys. Not gonna lie, that was awesome. That was a great video. That was a true size of a Tyranid Invasion Part 1 3D documentary by Invicta. Wow, guys. Yeah, I think it's fucking terrifying. I don't know if they, you know, again, I have to say, like, probably my favorite race, right? Not my favorite units, but my favorite, like, race, just with how fucking terrifying they are. My favorite bad guy, you know what I'm saying, in Warhammer. And maybe that's just generic, you know, maybe that's just me, but, you know, I grew up on Starship Troopers. I like a brutal hive mind, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm a little bit biased for that type of thing, you know, I definitely could be. But damn, dude, like, what a terrifying fucking prospect, getting invaded by a Tyranid hive fleet like that. Yeah, you're just done. You're just done before it starts, and by some miracle you survive. Like, it is by some miracle, you know? Wow. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe for more content, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. What you guys want me to do next, what you guys want me to see next, and yeah, man, I'm excited to see part 2. If you guys want to see part 2, of course let me know, because we got to check that out for sure. Even if you guys tell me no, don't do it, fucking, I'm still doing it at some point. Maybe next week, we'll see. Unless you guys want to see it, we'll see. If we can get 100 likes, on this video before the end of this week. I'll do it before the end of this week. You know what I'm saying? If we can get 100 likes by fucking Friday, you know. We'll do it by Friday, but you know, otherwise next week we're doing it. All right. But yes, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more content, leave your recommendations down below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, of course, Dagenhart and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And yeah, guys, without any further delay, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.